This is Inside the Crew, your weekly look at all things black and gold. Here's your host, Neil Sika and Dwight Burgess.
It's always a good time to feel like Cinderella. Even coming off that game on Saturday, boy.
That was a pumpkin.
What a kick in the groin. Kind of what it's felt like the last month and a half. Welcome to Inside the Crew. It's Neil. It's Dwight. It's Colin at the controls with you for the next hour. As we're coming up on the final two games of the regular season, the final home game at Mafre Stadium.
Which is Sunday, right? Not Saturday?
It's Sunday. Sunday at 5.
Big press release went out. It said Saturday.
Ooh.
Make sure I had it right.
Someone needs to make the decisions for the last few decision days on the actual days that they're being played. No, the last two games are on Sunday. Saturday games are done. And boy, oh boy, the game Saturday in Vancouver... I mean, what more can you say? This is what's gone on for this team the last month with these late goals. They're in control from minute 10 on. They have the lead. They're seemingly playing well. Vancouver is doing nothing. They're not really interested in doing anything. And then score on the last play of the game. And while they're not mathematically eliminated, last rights were pretty much given on that day.
Per the league's official website, they're eliminated.
No, they are.
Yeah, they did. There's a whole little recap of Columbus as they're going through the teams.
Well, they are mathematically still alive,
yes,
percentage points. But
I mean, come on.
They gave the obituary.
How do you do that on the official website?
I know. So, nevertheless, and that's just the thing, Dwight. That's not only frustrating about the game, but Montreal, Orlando City, New England, Chicago. No one wants this last spot. No. They're playing poor, and no one's been playing better of those teams below the line than Columbus when you talk about point accumulation. And yet, the late goals against Chicago and Toronto and Vancouver that were wins turned into ties has done them in.
It has been an exercise in futility, in frustration. People are just losing their minds, and you can understand why. To do as well as they have, as you just pointed out, to be where they are now. And I think some of these little oddities that have popped up here and there, like the league doing the season obit on a team that hasn't yet been eliminated from the playoffs, is kind of reflective of the way I think a lot of us are going to be really happy for January 1, 2020.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, 2018 was such a difficult year. 2019 has been a time of transition. We have the frustration on the field, but then we get the latest update earlier today on the new stadium renderings, the groundbreakings.
More on that coming with Jacob Myers of the Dispatch a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah, so I think it's reflective of the way it's been for almost 2 years now for the organization and for the team. But there's no question about how bright the future is when you look at the way they've performed, how close they've been, the wins into ties and the ties into losses you were referencing. There's a lot to be excited about, and I think we just all need to get a little distance from the frustrations that have been carrying on for a while now.
They are unbeaten in 4 and have points in 10 of 11. One of the bright spots over these last 17 games is a guy that has some proud Hispanic heritage. It's Hispanic Heritage Night on Sunday when the Philadelphia Union come to town. And that's Louisa Agudo making his second appearance on the show. The second-year player out of Wake Forest of Colombian descent joins us now on the program. He's got a personal best this season in games. Games started, goals and assists. Louisa Agudo back on the program. How you doing, Luis?
I'm good. How are you?
We're good. Of course, we reflect back on Saturday's game, and this has been a conversation we've had with so many of the guys, and hanging in there and having the hope and having a good work ethic and a shift like that on Saturday, only to have the game end the way it did. Let's not mince words. I mean, that sucks. I mean, right? As a player, you work hard. You want that result. You're trying to hold on to a playoff spot. Extremely frustrating, I've got to think.
No, yeah, for sure. It's a tough pill to swallow. like you said, we're fighting for a playoff spot, and we needed those 3 points. And the way the game ended wasn't exactly how we wanted to, but we have 2 more games, and we just got to keep pushing forward. That's all we can do.
And even with the frustration, you guys have been almost unbeatable for some time now. I have to imagine the confidence continues to grow in the locker room. Even if the playoffs don't plan out for this year, you got to like the direction you're going, I would think, for 2020.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think whatever happens with this year, we let it go. You know, it's going to be in the past, and then we're ready for next year. And you know, I think there'll be some good changes. And then this is just all going to be pushing us forward for next year. And if we, you know, if something doesn't happen, then we'll use that as motivation for next year. And I mean, we're confident that we could play, you know. I think we're, like you said, we haven't lost a game in a long time, and we've gotten some good road wins, and we'll take that for next year.
Points in 10 of 11, unbeaten in 4. Midfielder Louisa Agudo, the guest here on Inside the Crew. You probably haven't done this yet, but has there been any time spent reflecting on your growth this season as a player, or are you still intent on just finishing out these 2 games and then you'll look back after the season?
I've spoken to some of the coaches, and you know, they tell me that it's been a positive year for me, and I agree. You know, I think I took a good step forward in my career and in my development. But like I told them and a lot of other interviews, you know, I'm nowhere near the player I want to be, and there's always room for improvement. There's things I need to get better at. So, you know, this offseason is crucial for me. I need to get better at those things that I think I should do better in, and it's going to be a fun offseason, you know, to come back and show the coaches that, you know, I've gotten better or whatever it is. But overall, I think I've had a good year. But like you said, you know, there's still 2 games left, and you know, this Saturday, with it being Spanish Heritage Month and, you know, the Zoom night, I think it's going to be an important game for me personally, with my parents being in the stadium, and then the whole Spanish thing. So, you know, I want to perform well, and we want to perform well and get the much needed win for the supporters more than anything, and then just ourselves, really.
Yeah, you lead into Hispanic Heritage Night Sunday, 5 o'clock kickoff against Philadelphia. What does your Colombian heritage mean to you, and how do you reflect on that every day?
Yeah, it means everything. You know, my mom's Colombian and my dad's Ecuadorian, and it's something I hold near and dear to my heart. You know, I consider myself Latino. You know, that's what I am. You know, I am white or whatever it is, but I am Spanish, and I'm proud to be Hispanic, and it's something that I'll always be proud of. And, you know, at home, all we do is speak Spanish, so it's very, very important for me and my family.
And I think it's also an important example you can set in the way you carry yourself as the organization continues to try and expand its outreach, not just to the Hispanic community, but to other minority groups in Central Ohio. And I know that's a role that you take seriously whenever you have an opportunity to step out.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think as much as the community helps us, we need to help the community. And if I could do anything in that part, then I will. I'm always willing to help out, and you know, I look forward to stuff like that. I think that every guy on the team should play some part in that and in giving back to the community, especially since they saved the crew, and we're here for the remainder of the remainder of the crew's career, you know. And for me, whether I'm here or not, I'm excited for next year, and the fans did a wonderful job with keeping the team here.
Well, that has to get you excited to see stadium renderings like that. We can't predict the future and roster stuff a couple years out from now, but when you get a look at those new stadium renderings, what comes to mind?
That I better be here, you know. like you said, you know, we can't predict the future or any of that, but you know, the stadium right now is looking beautiful, and it's something that the fans deserve for sure. You know, the city of Columbus deserves a stadium like that with a team like this. You know, moving in the future, it's gonna be a team that's gonna be tough to beat, and having that new stadium is gonna bring, I think, new life to the city of Columbus and the crew.
Whenever a new player, particularly young players, come into the organization, we have a chance to visit the first time. We ask what the adjustment has been like. Now that you've got some experience and you've been around the block, as they say, how comfortable are you with the game at the professional level? You've talked about your growth in it, but are there many surprises left these days? You pretty much have a pretty confident handle on exactly how things work at the professional game.
I think for the most part, I got a good handle of it. Obviously, every team is different in their own ways, and you meet different obstacles during them. I'm an attacking player, so I'll play against a lot of different defenders. But for now, I think I've done well enough. I think I've proven myself to the team and to the league that I could play in the league. And for me, it's more about, not worrying much about them, but worrying about myself and the crew and helping the team in any way I can, getting better and stuff I want to improve on. And, I think for now it's just about developing.
Midfielder Louisa Agudo here on Inside the Crew. He's played in 17 straight league games for the Black and Gold. Columbus, Philadelphia, final home game of the regular season, Sunday at 5. At Mafre Stadium. Now, you did mention mother's Colombian, father's Ecuadorian. I've seen you in a Colombia jersey. Is it just you have to defer to mom when wearing the nation's pride, or do you have an Ecuadorian one that I just haven't seen yet out at Obet's?
No, I have an Ecuadorian one, but, they're not the hottest team, so they're not playing as much or in important tournaments, I guess. But when they do make it, and obviously I hope they do, I'll be repping that jersey for sure.
Is Dad okay with that?
Yeah, he's fine. He's a funny guy, so he likes to joke around and stuff like that as of why I don't wear it. But I give him the same excuse. I mean, I tell him, like, when they make a tournament or something, I'll be repping. But for now, it's all Colombia and U.S., I guess.
Well, and it's also what Mom wants. Mom's always come before Dad's. That's right.
Exactly. Correct.
2 games left in the regular season. Whatever happens beyond that in terms of the team and whether they're playing, I know the odds are slim, but have you thought about what you're going to do in your off season and preparations in a short window like that? You going to travel anywhere?
I don't know. I think my family and I are planning a trip to go away for Christmas and New Year's. But other than that, just go back home, spend time with some family, some friends, and then, grind up over there. I think the offseason is very important for every player to work on their craft and get better in anything they want. So I'm excited for the offseason as much as I don't want it to come as soon as it might, because there's still a chance we can make playoffs. I'm gonna get down and start working on stuff I need to work on right away because I love the game and I love improving, and I'll sacrifice whatever it is for this game and the team. So I'm excited for what's to come.
Fair enough. How about as you get into the off season, you're going to do, as you say, whatever you need to do. Is there like a priority one, an area of your game that you specifically want to improve on above any others? Yeah,
I think for me as a winger or attacking player, wherever I play, I think I take pride in my ability to keep the ball and, take players on. But there's one thing I want to work on is definitely 1v1s, running at people. I think I can get by people when I have my back towards them. I can, shimmy them or something. But I think for me, it's a little difficult to beat someone while running at them. So that's one thing I definitely need to work on. And then obviously just finishing. I think I've had a lot of opportunities this year to have some goals and just being kind of nervous in front of goal and just working on that. Obviously getting my first goal helped a lot. Now I'm not as nervous, but I need to take the chances and produce more for the team.
Midfielder Luis Agudo, Hispanic Heritage Night Sunday in the regular season home finale against the Philadelphia Union. Enjoyed watching your growth this year, Luis. All the best Sunday. Hope your family enjoys the festivities as well, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you.
That's Luis Agudo. We'll come back. Union preview. They're coming to town. Tommy Smith. A little bulge in the old onion bag. Making his show debut. When we come back on ITC Your 97.1 The Fan.
Back to Inside the Crew. Here's Neil Sika and Dwight Burgess.
Welcome back. Thanks to Louisa Agudo for coming on. Hispanic Heritage Night. The zoo will be on the plaza prior to the final home game of the regular season. Also come early for a craft beer tasting, which features our crew partners. Tickets for the tasting can be found at columbuscrewsc.com. How about the brew garden that's going to be in this new stadium in the Nordeca, and plus a bar or restaurant?
Yeah. How can you go wrong? How can you go wrong?
You don't have to leave. You can live there.
Yeah, well, we just need to talk to more people who are professional pub takers-inners.
I know our next guest has probably been to some of the great pubs in his native Ireland and the world. We're going to talk more about the stadium stuff with Jacob Myers in the next segment, Columbus Dispatch. So our next guest is making his show debut, works with our good friend J.P. Delacamera, 4+ seasons on Philadelphia Union Telecast, 27 years doing ESPN and ESPN International. Now you can hear him daily on Grumpy Pundit, Sirius XM FC. Tommy Smith joins us here on the show to talk Union. How you doing, Tommy?
I'm doing well, Neil. Doing well, Dwight. I mean, I spent a half a season down there on television for the Crew as well.
That's
many
right.
Years ago.
That's right. What do you recall about those days?
Oh, I recall, it was the new stadium that time, and it was the talk, everything. It was the talk about it, and, people couldn't believe, like everywhere else you went, you were playing in stadiums that were 70,000, and there was a paltry crowd in them, but you go to the Crew, and the place was always full, packed. There was always a great atmosphere in it. It was just a great place. Plus the fact Dublin was only down the road, I felt I was at home.
Well, you are one of those individuals who has that unique perspective. Your background in the game goes well beyond the info Neil just shared. So as you look back since 1996 at the way Major League Soccer, a league that 5 years in was teetering on collapsing, and now all of a sudden you have all these new stadiums, all these new teams. There are actually ownership groups lining up to get into the league. What's your take, big picture-wise, on the growth of this game in the United States?
Well, it's growing in leaps and bounds. I think the one danger is that maybe it could be at a situation where maybe it's going to grow too much. I think at some point, even though the size of the country and the country kind of demands that you have teams in various locations, and there's so many places to be represented here, but you have to be careful that you don't saturate the pool of talent. That's the key thing. I mean, the talent has increased immensely, and I'm amazed, like when I came on board first with the Metro Stars in the very first games, I'm amazed to see the amount of foreign players who now play in MLS, and I'm amazed at the amount of young players, American players, who are playing overseas, where I felt that, MLS was set up to be a vehicle for young American players to get their opportunities to perhaps be playing on the national team. But now it seems like it's taken a kind of a curve along the way someplace. I'm not saying it's a bad curve or anything, but it has taken a curve away from what it originally was.
Tommy Smith, our guest here on Inside the Crew, as we're waxing poetic over his long career in Major League Soccer, but specifically to this Union team. Crew hasn't seen them since the first international break of the season back in March. They lost 3-0. They were missing some guys, but this is a Philadelphia story that has been one to watch and follow throughout the course of the regular season. Jim Curtin's done a phenomenal job. Playoffs are secure, 52 points, 15 wins. Huge game, though, tomorrow against San Jose. It's a late one, and then they'll play Columbus Sunday. But there's a big difference of being in the 2 seed and getting a CONCACAF Champions League berth as opposed to 3 or 4, and then you take on Toronto or the Red Bulls. So what's your pulse on this team right now? They're coming off the loss to the Red Bulls, but it's been an incredible year by and large, I would say.
Oh, yeah, it's been by far and away the best year that I've seen them. And, the big thing with it, people say to me, but what's the big difference? The big difference in this Union team is exactly what I just described. It is a union team. They're a team that play together. Before this, the union had many good individuals. You know, they had Barnetta and they had Medunian, and they all did their thing. But there were a bunch of individual players who had great skill. But when it came together to put a team together, it was different. But this year, Curtin has done a fantastic job. This is a team that plays for itself, it fights for itself, and if one guy gets in trouble, the other guys are there to back him up. And I think that's the key mentality, really.
You know, LAFC, for some legitimate reasons, has been the club everybody's been talking about all season long. But we get to the end of the regular campaign. For me, and I've been on the record about this for some time now, Jim Curtin, when you take a look at the resources available vis-a-vis what an Atlanta, what an LA.
Exactly what he needed. Goals scored when the subs come on. It's just gone right for a very nice guy. He's one of the nicest guys that you could meet, I think, in this league.
Well, it's a good blend and a good group as we talk to Tommy Smith here on Inside the Crew. He's not afraid. He hasn't been afraid, mainly because, well, what they've spent in the past. But to play the young guys, Trusty was starting earlier. Now it's McKenzie and Elliott pairing. You've got Aronson, who's gotten a bunch of minutes. He's not afraid to go with the young guys in key moments and key situations, and they've performed by and large.
Yeah, they certainly have. I mean, the Academy of the Union have done a great job. I think it was last year was at one point there was 7 young homegrown players that had been introduced onto the big team, as we say. But, I mean, and they have produced. I mean, Jack Elliott has been just, I mean, he's a tower of strength back there. McKenzie's been playing well. Aronson, you know, he's a little bit small. He gets knocked around a bit, but there's no denying the kind of skill that this man has. And the fact that they brought in a couple of players, I mean, they made a couple of very shrewd signings. Ernest Tanner really recognized that Kai Wagner was a really good player, and Shebelko is quite a good striker. So those two kind of surprised everybody, caught everybody by surprise, and they have done a great job for the Union.
So what's their outlook as they head into the postseason? Is this a team you think's ready to win a championship?
Yeah, I would imagine that the way I put it the other night was for the Red Bulls game, it seemed it was kind of flat for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it was just the fact that they had secured at home. The one thing that they wanted all year, and the fans all wanted all year, was to have one home game in the playoffs, and they had secured that home game in the playoffs, and they came up against the Red Bulls, and obviously they had a chance to finish in second, and probably still do have, depending on the way Atlanta is, because tomorrow night's a game that they should be able to win. But their attitude was going into it that we wanted to finish first or second. It wasn't a case of, okay, we are going to give players an opportunity now to rest, or we're going to rotate players. We're going to put out the best team we have, and we're going to look for the best result that we can possibly get. Now, the one thing I do know about the Union, there's nobody who will want to play them. In the playoffs, there is no team is sitting back like there might have been a couple of years ago saying, well, hey, it'd be nice if we got the Union in the playoffs. I can guarantee you there's no team considering that a luxury this year because the Union have been so good. I mean, they have been near the top of the table practically since the start. From the kickoff, they've been there or thereabouts, and you guys know that in their own way, that brings a certain amount of pressure because every time you go out every week, somebody has an X on your back to want to get you out of there. So they've coped with that pressure well, and yes, I think that they're a team that could make a very deep run for the Cup.
Tommy Smith, Union analyst, an onion bag full of information here as we get you ready for Sunday's game. Our good friend and colleague from through the years, John Bloom, will always tell the story. When he was released from the Tampa Bay Rowdies, it was to make room for one Tommy Smith. So if the Union wins Sunday, Tommy, we're going to send you John Bloom's Rowdies jersey as a little souvenir.
Okay, I'll appreciate that.
Great stuff, and you can hear Tommy on a regular basis, Scrumpy Pundits on Sirius XM-FC. Thanks for this, Tommy.
Thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. I'll talk to you, Neil and Dwight.
He's one of the best. He's been around for such a long time. Him and JP should put together some memoirs of their 4 years working together.
Absolutely.
When we come back, we'll talk about these new stadium renderings released earlier this morning. Get excited. CrewStadium.com, by the way, for that. Jacob Myers, Columbus Dispatch. Stay with us inside the Crew.
Dry your eyes, hockey fans. The preseason is upon us. Catch the Jackets and Sabres from Buffalo. Live fan coverage starts Wednesday night at 6:45.
Brought to you by Myers Jewelers.
Your home of the Jackets, the Fan.
Hello, everybody. You're looking live at Fansville, a college football utopia. Fansville. Where the rivers flow with ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Delicious. Where the yards are lined with chalk and the homes are filled with framed photos of your head coach. Above the mantle. A place where you can wear a jersey to a job interview. Bold move. And you get that job because the boss was wearing the same jersey. Touchdown. Where the coolers are filled with Dr. Pepper, and so are the fridges, glove compartments, and pretty much any place you can think of. So much Dr. Pepper. Get a taste of Fansville this fall during a college football game near you. Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. Grab some today.
Visit 971thefan.com and register to win the ultimate tailgate experience from Dr. Pepper. Enjoy a fully catered tailgate located in the stadium parking lot, including tickets to the home game on Saturday, November 23rd. Prize includes a big screen TV, cooler, grill, and more.
Hi, this is Bob Masheter from Dick Masheter Ford. A couple of thoughts. I'm not a professional athlete or entertainer. I don't have a Twitter following or post on Instagram. I am simply an American and a proud one. I stand whenever Old Glory is flying and the music is playing, the brightest beacon of freedom in the world. It represents our history. While not perfect, still the best there is. So as the team takes the field, remember to honor those who have given all and ask what you can do for your country. From all of us at Dick Masheter Ford, go team. God bless America.
Want to update your home? Start with what has the biggest impact, your floors. Let Paneltown and Floors, family owned and operated since 1967, help you transform your home. Paneltown and Floors is the most complete flooring destination and delivers the ultimate customer experience to professionals and homeowners alike. Meet with their experienced staff and let their unparalleled customer focus, extensive knowledge, and unmatched selection guide you from vision to reality. The complete flooring source, paneltown.com.
It's coming. Saturday is game day.
Presented by your Central Ohio Chevy dealers.
Spend your entire Saturday with us. The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Back to Inside the Crew. Here's Neil Sika and Dwight Burgess.
They splashed on the scene, the Hooters, just as quickly went bye-bye.
And we danced. And then the dance was over.
Yep.
Welcome
just
back.
as it was for Dexy's Midnight Run.
Yeah. I hate that song. Inside the Crew continues. Thanks to Tommy Smith. As everyone excited about last home game of the regular season coming up on Sunday, 5 o'clock from Mafre Stadium. Jacob Myers, Columbus Dispatch, on the beat. And joining us now, he was up bright and early. Everyone's talking about the brand new stadium renderings, the ones that essentially are official for what we'll see when shovels go into the dirt October 10th. There was all this talk about the Star Wars theme, and yeah, there's those dark tones and looking like, well, I'm going to go with you with the Star Wars lexicon. But what did you walk away coming impressed from, Jacob, this morning with the renderings, and what has you excited about what's ahead for this project?
Well, first, Neil, I have to ask, do you hate Come On Eileen? That's an iconic song.
Yeah, I hate it. I don't like it at all.
Well, we'll just move right past that. Yeah. I think, what you wanted to see from this is they've gotten so much input from the supporters who kept the club here. And it's something that the club has been very open about, just pushing. We did this with a full intent of supporters in mind. Also, and I think is very smart, you see with one of these, it's a small thing, but there's a event space for conferences or weddings or receptions, and then the plaza. There's a lot of other money-making factors within the stadium, and something they've talked about through this whole process is they want it to be a facility used 365 years in 365 days out of the year. And one of the downtown commission members said, sometimes you end up with this black box that is only active for like a third of the year or whatever. That's not what they have here. I think the Nordeck side is really impressive with the two patios, whatnot. And I mean, just looking at it, they didn't want to build a spaceship, and I don't think they got that. The opening view of walking up to the stadium is like somewhat inviting. It's like you want to see what's going on inside. So look, all of these renderings always look great. It's the final product that matters,
Sure.
But it's certainly an exciting, moment for these supporters who've been waiting since December to see something new about the stadium.
What do you think the ownership is ultimately trying to do from a design standpoint? As you've referenced, so important that the supporters have been involved, their voices being heard. But you also don't want to have what's become to some degree a little bit cookie cutter around Major League Soccer. But I think that's a reality when you're building stadiums of 30,000 or less and you're trying to address certain things. There's only so many different designs with which you can go. How have they been able to do that, do you think, in this particular case, to make it unique while still serving its primary purpose?
Yeah, that's especially in a market like Columbus. That's such an important thing that the front office, Haslam Sports Group, all those players had to consider. And what Executive Vice President, Chief Business Officer Steve Lyon said is it's a modern Midwestern icon. That's how they like to describe it. So I think what they wanted, I mean, you guys know March games in Ohio don't always produce the best weather. So they have that canopy that protects all the seats. That's like a very fundamental, important thing. And then the 360-degree concourse, which they have at Mafre, but you can't always see what's going on in the games because you're behind the stands. This one, you can walk around and see the match from anywhere on the field. So I just think those are such simple, smart things that just bring about a different environment. And, they don't need a 30,000, 35,000 seat stadium. It's 20,000. And I mean, personally, I think they could have gone less and just pack them in there like sardines. But I think that's what you want in a Midwest market like Columbus. It's just something small, simple, but smart. And I think you saw that.
Jacob Myers, Dispatch, joining us here on Inside the Crew. We're talking about the new stadium renderings released earlier this morning. Got the first beer garden in MLS in the Nordeca section. Each section is going to have its own specifics. And that south stand, that's going to have the soccer pub. I took a little bit of the tones of Children's Mercy Park, and which has kind of got a darker aspect to it when the game's in play, which I like a lot. It's one of my favorite stadiums. And then I see what they've done in Minnesota, and while I haven't been there yet, looks very impressive, and it's gotten a lot of rave reviews. So there's the key aspects of the retail, and at least from the restaurant and concession standpoint, and having that available year-round is so clutch. And whatever they develop off of that, I can think of the new Brave Stadium in SunTrust Park, and now they've turned that into a little community, and it's excellent.
Yeah, that is a fantastic ballpark. I was actually in Atlanta, living in Atlanta before this job, and went there a few times. And that, I mean, I think that's what you have with this new stadium and where it's going to be at, unlike Mafre, is you can just hang out around it. Like they said, 365 days a year. And they have so much that's going to be accessible from the private development side, too. So it's really going to just feel like a community. And, I mean, with the ballpark and Nationwide Arena down there, too, I think that's an understated portion. Is just it feels authentically Columbus, and that's what they want.
Well, there's going to be a team who will be taking the field when the new facility opens. We're not sure, but this has been quite the season for Columbus Crew SC. Since the midpoint, they've gotten better and better, hardly losing any games. Unfortunately, not quite getting enough wins to get them over the hump, but some reasons to feel positive about this team moving forward, though we know there will still be some more roster changes in the offseason.
Yeah, I think, especially if they were able to pull out this past weekend, you would have looked at Atlanta, and then, they definitely had enough opportunities to get that second goal to kill the game. You would have looked at those two and okay, this is really, I think we are all in agreement that they've shown signs that they're a different team than the beginning of the year since they got some of these additions. But 2 wins in a row here, one against Atlanta, would have specifically shown that they can, win games consistently. And it was disappointing to see that. And they've had, I think, 4 of those 90-minute or later goals scored against them, 3 in the last 6 games. So, they're a playoff team at that point. But like you said, Dwight, there's a lot of, I think, going to be some roster changes coming up to make this team better. But the additions they have, and you've gotten a lot of production from Pedro Santos, and Louisa Agudo has looked good in spots. Aloy Room's a great add.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of reason to be positive about the team going forward.
Yeah, Luis Diaz in that mix too. Jacob Myers of the Columbus Dispatch here on Inside the Crew. What mood did you take away from training out there today after the ending sucked. Everyone knows how it finished out on Saturday, but their playoff chances going to the guillotine perhaps tomorrow night, depending on what happens in New England, Portland. What was the tone, what was the mood of the coaches and players after Saturday's disappointment?
Yeah, they started, and maybe they do this every training, and I don't get to watch every training. It could have happened. I just arrived a little earlier at this point, but they gathered for a while at midfield at one of the fields and just kind of had a chat, and it seemed it had to be just about moving forward and making sure to kill the games, because that's a theme with this team right now. As I said, they'd be in the playoffs if they could do that.
Sure.
But as for the training in general, a lot of endurance, finishing, just stuff they have been doing, but I felt like it was a little ramped up intensity, and they'll go direct it when they need to. That's kind of how the game is evolving, I guess, in a way. It's always been style. The teams have their styles, but the Crew doesn't have one specific style, and they're trying to figure out which one works best. If do they go more direct in certain situations or try to play with the ball? So I like that they're just testing some ground here, and I think you have the look that you want with a guy like Luis Diaz that runs in behind, Mokhtar, who he's played well enough to get a couple goals and a few assists, but hasn't done either yet. So that is, a reason to like the attack moving forward and be much, it looks much better than what we thought at the beginning of the year.
Noted Dexy's Midnight Runners apologist and Dispatch beat reporter Jacob Myers joining us. Thanks, Jacob. Good stuff, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys.
We'll come back. Final thoughts and put a bow on the show. Inside the Crew, 97.1 The Fan.
To Inside the Crew, here's Neil Sika and Dwight Burgess.
Jimmy Fallon's house band.
Yeah, interesting how that all came about.
Got to multitask in today's entertainment world, I guess. This is a good song, though. Thanks to Jacob Myers for that information. The renderings look great. We know that. Hopefully it'll look somewhat similar to the pictures we saw today. Breaking ground on that new downtown stadium Thursday, October 10th at 2 o'clock. Food trucks, music, and more. CrewStadium.com is the new website for all your information on the groundbreaking event. And 2020 full season memberships are now on sale. Purchase or renew now to receive new downtown stadium priority, best prices on home matches, and so much more. 614-447-CREW or visit ColumbusCrewSC.com for more information. Aside from all the stuff going on in Crewville, a guy that was part of Crewville and captained the team for 3 years, yesterday announced this will be his last season. And you don't run into too many guys that are as humble, intelligent, and have had the careers that Michael Parkhurst has had, even though he was only here for a small window of his tenure with New England and won a championship in Atlanta. One of the really good guys, one of the really good players. And wish him all the best. He's been on this show, of course, before. And he told me, he mentioned that Columbus is going to be home for the family going forward. They still have their house here, but you got to feel good for Parky.
It brings to mind the expression conspicuous by his absence, and that's what it'll be in 2020 for Major League Soccer to not have Michael Parkhurst. He is the professional's professional, if you will, a man's man, whatever you want to use it, while we see all sorts of crazy stuff happening in the world of professional sports. This is a guy who just showed up and did his job and was a captain of multiple teams. Do we need to say anything else? It didn't matter where he went. His leadership was clear and was recognized as such. So it'll be great to have him back in the community, and we'll drag him into one of these shows and get the inside perspective on winning a championship finally after all the close misses he had.
I would think so. I could see him being a coach, too, just
sure,
with his intelligence. But it was great to see him capture a championship last year with Atlanta. This year he hasn't played as much. They're gearing up for a playoff run, but he's taken on the role of being a mentor to a lot of guys in the roster when things were tough for that team at the start of the season. They seem to have things in order right now. Joseph Martinez's injury doesn't look as bad as it did on Saturday, so playing a different type of role and doing it well.
It doesn't matter what his role is, does it? He's very comfortable in his own skin. He can be that leader. He can be part of the group, whatever's called upon in a perfect situation, in a specific situation. And he's going to be missed, but I think that his impact will continue to be felt moving forward.
So the Crew wrap up their home games on Sunday, and they play Philly. That is a kick approximately 5:20-ish, so we'll be on the air with you around 5, and Chris Dorn will have the call as well right here on the Fan. There are some big games. Philly, of course, playing tomorrow night, as we mentioned earlier. They've got a long road trip to San Jose. It's an important game and week for them because it's pretty significant. If you finish in the second spot in the East, and whether it's NYC or Atlanta that takes top billing, top two spots, you're already in the CONCACAF Champions League going into next season instead of the Leagues Cup if you're 3 and 4. But your opponent is significant because then you face the Red Bulls or Toronto FC. If you're in that second spot and have to play the first game and don't get the bye, you're getting New England, or if Montreal, Chicago, Orlando were to limp in there, that's a pretty substantial difference from playing in the 2 spot or the 3 spot. So it's a big week for the Union.
It is a big week, and I think it's going to be yet another really good test for Caleb Porter's troops. And keep in mind, they're still making decisions about the current roster and what direction they want to go and what their opportunities are. So they're still alive mathematically for the postseason, so you have to go out playing to win the game. But there really is no pressure on Columbus. It's all on Philly. And Philly's had a great year. Jim Curtin remains my personal pick for Coach of the Year. When you take a look at what he's accomplished with the resources committed by that organization, I don't think there's any question that he's done more. So, yeah, looking forward to it. And, if it's the end of the home season for Columbus in 2019, it is. Finish on a high note.
They can officially be eliminated tomorrow. New England's going out to Portland. And New England's had their struggles, but so has Portland at home. They've been shut out the last 3 games at home. So
it's
never say never.
Yeah, it's one of the rare league matchups where you have 2 teams that regularly play on turf. So that kind of takes it away. But, man, New England at any moment with the talent they have offensively, tell you what, watch out.
Okay. We're going to motor on through. We'll talk to you Sunday from the stadium. Thanks for listening to Inside the Crew on this Tuesday night. Back with you next week on Tuesday. CB produced and our guests, Louisa Agudo, Tommy Smith with a Y, Union analyst, and Jacob Myers of the Columbus Dispatch. Dwight? Neil! We'll see you. Have a good night, everyone. Talk to you next week.